I'm Cara Campbell, and I am in downtown London tonight to talk about community feedback. Now, when our team first started investigating community feedback on the local level, we found some interesting trends. The smaller organizations in the city don't really have official forums for community feedback. They seem to be a bit behind the 8 ball on this. Now, some of the organizations we talked to, like for example the Londoner and the Gazette, are taking strides to move forward with this and try and get into more things that we're used to seeing, like comment sections on the bigger papers or live chats or various Twitter accounts. But other media organizations that we talked to, again, very small, very local, like Rogers TV or Scene Magazine, aren't doing too much to change their ways of getting community feedback, and they don't really see this as a big problem. So let's go and hear what they have to say.
And so once people put that show on the air, is there a way that viewers can kind of talk about it or tell you they like it, or like?
We don't have a formal system for that, but we get emails all the time from people. A lot of people just go to rogerstv.com and all of our emails are on there. Our publicity promotions employee, staff member gets a lot of emails that way. We don't get a lot of phone calls, unfortunately, but email seems to be the best way to get feedback from them. And of course, when we're out in the community, when we were doing First Local, we used to have a newscast called First Local, and I was out every day as a reporter. People would come up to me and tell me what they liked or even didn't like about Rogers TV, or even Rogers as a whole. So yeah, we hear things kind of through the grapevine. We don't have a formal way of getting like complaints or compliments.
So it's mostly through email.
Mostly through email.
Scene is a local magazine found in newsstands on many of the big intersections here in London. We went to talk to its founder and editor-in-chief about what he does in collecting community feedback.
Just know how many papers get picked up, and I do take into account how weather will affect certain things and that kind of stuff, but that's a pretty good barometer right there of what people like or don't like or something like that. And also I just, I want to consider things that I think would be important for the reader, so that's how I approach it, like that.
So we went to talk to the Londoner, and we met up with Chris Montanini, who is their online media editor. There's a few things you should know about Chris. First of all, he's a graduate of this program, 2009. He has a job, and it's in journalism, which is double plus and hopeful for the rest of us. But I talked to Chris about where the Londoner plans to go, because he is someone who really sees the future of community feedback and wants it to move forward.
It's hard to say right now. I'm definitely open to it. It's not really a conversation I think that we've had yet. The thing, we're using the Sun Media template right now online, which is good for information, not so great I think for that communication aspect. So one of the things I'd like to see is when we do post the stories individually on a Facebook page is to use the actual comment feature there to be able to chat about stories that way. And Dale and I are always on there checking things and would be free to respond that way. So I think for right now, that's sort of what I'm hoping works out, and in the future, I think we'll probably be leaning towards maybe something more directly connected to our website. I have no idea. I did a little bit of writing for the Sioux Star as well back in Sault Ste. Marie, where I started as an intern, and it was the same thing. It seems like a lot of the mainstream media, I guess, was a little bit behind the 8 ball when the internet things started happening. So a lot of people in the blogosphere, I guess, are a little bit more ahead in terms of that. But I think they're also worried about the types of comments that come through on there. And I've noticed it a bit too. For some reason, on mainstream pages, comments don't seem to be as constructive as they are elsewhere. So I think that was a huge problem, especially when they first started exploring in the realm of the internet. and I don't think that anyone really came up with a creative solution to that. I think so, and I'd personally like that aspect of it. Like I'd enjoy talking, especially at the community news level, because that's what it's all about, right? It's about connecting with the community, and what we're trying to do is really tell those neighborhood-esque type stories, and not just in London, but Dorchester, Arva, and sort of the surrounding area. And I think that getting to know people at that level is really important, because basically they're going to be your sources for stories every week. So I think it would be a unique aspect at a community newspaper to be able to pull that off, and I think that's somewhere where I hope that our product will go in the near future.
The Gazette is the local student newspaper on campus. Lauren Pelley went down to them to talk about the recent transition they've been having from a largely letter to the editor type of system of community feedback to one that's more interactive and online.
Okay, as you probably already know, I work at the Gazette student newspaper here at Western. And in the past year, we've made some really big changes to our online commenting systems. So we're going to go inside and talk to the editor-in-chief, Stuart Thompson, about the big changes that we've been making and see how we get feedback nowadays. Come on in.
Okay, so not even 2 years ago there was just letter writings. That's all people could do. They would have to write letters, submit them probably through email or even dropping them into the office or on a disk or something like that. And then when we upgraded our website, we increased our online presence and did a lot of other communication tools, so people can now comment on the website. They can comment to us on Facebook, they can talk to us on Twitter, they can interact with us on Scribd and things like that. So I think the stats show that we've tripled readership participation at least, because there's all these other methods that people can talk to us instead of just writing these sort of essay-style letters that are kind of a thing of the past in a lot of ways for students, I think.
Reading that sort of like dialogue.
Yeah, well, the strike night was a great night because it really brought a lot of attention to the subject of the strike and to Western, and it really brought a lot of people together in a way that we didn't really find each other before then. So it was a reason for people to come together to talk about the same thing, and then being sort of in the newsroom, we had a bit more authority than what was going on a lot of those conversations, which were a lot of misinformation, sometimes disinformation, and we were able to act as a voice of reason and clarity to give better information and then respond back when people had questions. So what was interesting about that night is that we have a website, and it's a pretty good website, but nothing was happening on the website. There was no comments happening there. It was all happening on Twitter, right? So we've almost gone beyond just having a good website now, but having Twitter is now a part of that news cycle. And in fact, a very integral part, because without it, we would have been out of the loop, essentially. Because our website is not where people are. They're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, and that's where Western should be, and that's where UOFA should have been as well. So they weren't there, and we were the only ones who were really giving that kind of information, and we used that tool as best we could.
So that's all we have for you. I hope you learned a little bit tonight about community feedback, and now we'd like your feedback on feedback. So let us know what you think.